If you want to play bebop on saxophone, you've got to learn a bunch of complicated chord substitutions and enclosures and all that kind of complicated stuff, haven't you? No, you don't. You can still sound great just using the good old major scale that you hopefully practice every day. So, in this free online saxophone lesson, you're going to learn 3 really cool bebop licks using only the major scale with which you are very familiar. And you're going to learn a lot more than that besides, let me tell you. This is going to be super awesome. You're going to learn phrasing. You're going to learn a bunch of really cool stuff. Right, here is the first lick. We've got a 2-5-1 in the key of C. Nice and simple. And the lick itself sounds like this. Okay, nice and straightforward. Now, that, as you can see, is just the notes of the major scale. And there are some cool features which I want you to pay attention to. First of all, there's a slightly delayed resolution. If you look in the second bar, halfway through, you'll see that a C moves to a B. Now, this is the first thing you're going to learn today, and that is that using the major scale, if you know your voice leading, you can create really cool bebop phrases which really sound authentic. Now, what is voice leading? It's basically where the guide tones of one chord go to the next nearest guide tone of the next chord. All right? So, in other words, instead of just playing arpeggios and chopping around and going high and low all the time, which breaks up your melodic line, you just take the 7th of one chord and you link it to the 3rd of the next chord. Now, what I've done in this lick is I've delayed that, okay, to beat 3 of the second bar. That's why you can see the C of D minor 7 going to the B of G7. That is a quintessential bebop thing, which is really going to make you sound like you're making the changes. And then I go up the sort of G9 arpeggio and you resolve on a chord tone, a strong chord tone of C, which is the G. Now, that's the notes, okay? And we're going to hear what these licks sound like in context just shortly. But playing those notes won't make you sound good when you're playing jazz. Why? Because you need to phrase like a pro. Oh, there could be a course on that somewhere. So let's look at the phrasing. Now, this is the second thing that you're going to learn today. So far, you've learned that you can play bebop with a major scale, and you've learned that voice leading is going to make your licks sound really great. But most of what's going to make your lick sound great is phrasing. So I have written down here the bit that you generally don't really see written when people teach you how to play jazz. Most of the time, it's like, hey, you want to play jazz? Play this. And then you play that and you don't sound very good. And you're like, why don't I sound very good? And why aren't I swinging? And it's because that is all the stuff that's missing. So let's go through it and I'll talk you through my abbreviations, okay? This is the bit that you're really going to learn. T means that you tongue the note, all right? A long line above, a line above the note is called a tenuto. It means you play the note for its full value. A dot above the note, well, there aren't any dots in this particular phrase, means you play it short. A slur above it, which is the curved line, means that you just flow into the next note, you move your fingers, but you don't use your tongue. And then there's the whole thing about half tonguing. So we're going to get into that just shortly. So the first note, the A, you are just going to tongue it. You then tongue the C and you slur into the B. My phone is ringing on my desk, but I'm not going to answer it. I can tell it's a junk number. So you just slur from the C to the B, okay? Tongue the C and slur to the B. Now, if you're kind of switching off a bit and what you're really hearing at the moment is warm, 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 and you don't really pay attention to what I'm saying, you're not going to sound good when you phrase jazz, okay? It's the devil's in the detail. So I'm giving you the detail. Don't say I don't look after you guys. I'm giving you the detail. So you tongue the A, you tongue the C, and you slur to the B. Then you've got 2 ways that you can half tongue on saxophone. I've got whole videos on it, so I'm not going to go right into it. You can either rest your tongue on the reed lightly, but not heavy enough for it to stop the vibration. It just muffles it. Or you can tongue one corner only of the reed. Only tongue one corner of the reed. And you shut that corner down. Okay, they're the 2 ways that you can half tongue or muffle tongue or doodle tongue, whatever you want to call it. But the key thing about a ghosted note, which is the note in brackets there, the G, is that your tongue is on the reed for the duration of the note. Your tongue is on the reed for the duration of the note. That is completely different from normal tonguing, where you tongue the reed, then your tongue gets off the reed, right? That is the difference. That means that if your tongue is already on the reed, I need my giant demo mouthpiece, look. If your tongue is already on the reed, at some point you have to pull your tongue off the reed. That is what I call releasing your tongue, or RT. So your tongue is on the reed for the G, you pull it off when you get to the A, and you pull it off quickly. That has the effect of sort of articulating the next note. But I've done a dotted slur, just to kind of indicate that, I've got an itchy nose, that indicates that it's sort of slurred, but it's actually, the next note is a de facto tongued note, really. So let's play the first 2, 4, 5 notes, and you can do this with me if you've got your horn, with the proper phrasing. That's it in slow-mo, all right? And that's it in fast-mo. Then you tongue the F, slur to the D, and you'll start to get the pattern now. You tongue the G, you tongue the F, and you slur all those notes. Okay? Then you tongue the C, you tongue the B, you half-tongue the D, release your tongue for the F, tongue the A, tongue the G. So here's the whole thing with the proper jazz phrasing. Remember, this is the bit that most people don't tell you. This is what's going to make you sound good when you play bebop. Got it? And remember, a couple of extra things on phrasing. See, once we've got the principles in place, it'll apply to all these licks. The first principle is that jazz is a connected phrasing style. The notes all flow into each other, okay? So you've got this constant line. There's no rests in this line. Therefore, every note joins onto the next. The fastest way to sound bad when you play jazz is, that sort of galloping, detached style. The second thing is that you don't have to swing the quavers very much. You don't have to go dee-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You can play your quavers pretty even if you're phrasing nicely like this. I told you this was a really chunky lesson today. I'm throwing some really valuable stuff at you right now. Because somebody could give you that and call it a lesson. Hey, there's a great bebop lick. And then you play it and you're like... and you're swinging like a statue's you-know-what. Whereas... that is swinging, all right? That's how you swing it, and that's exactly what you do with the phrasing. Now, let's see what it sounds like in context. So I thought we should throw this into a straightforward standard. So I've dug out the Lonely Shepherd song, aka There Will Never Be Another You. Such a dad joke. And I've picked out two different 2-5-1s. Two different 2-5-1s, okay? So in the, let's see, 4, 5, 6, in the 7th and 8th bars, there's a 2-5-1 that goes to chord 4 of the song. So we've got to take this lick and transpose it, all right? Now in the key that I'm doing in alto, the song itself is in C, so we're doing a 2-5-1 to F. That means this lick needs to be transposed so that it's G minor 7, C7 to F major 7. That would make it sound like this, okay? So, here's what that lick sounds like in those two different key centers in the context of the song. And in the middle, I'll just fill in with notes from the straightforward major scale. Here we go. Now, those who've got eagle ears Have eagles got good ears? I don't know. For those who've got ears like a bat, you might have noticed that the rhythm section, instead of playing a straightforward D minor 7, G7, actually does this chromatic thing. And what they're really doing, and this happens quite a lot in standards sometimes, is that they're doing the 2-5-1 upper semitone and then down a semitone. So the rhythm section in the alto key are doing E flat minor 7, A flat 7, and then down a semitone to the D minor 7, G7. So that lick is going to work fine over that. It's all just a big sort of mush. It's fine. Great. Because it's a strong lick, it holds its own. But if you want to sneakily take this to the next level, you could take the first part of the lick and transpose it up a semitone and then keep the second part as it is. So this is like, you know, pro level stuff. So instead of going, you could go, and then back to the normal one. So that would make the lick. That is going to sound super cool. So here's another version of There Will Never Be Another You with that chromatic alteration to the lick. Here it is. Cool stuff. Let's move on to the second lick, which is taking the notes of the major scale and creating awesome bebop, just using the major scale, which you're familiar with. Now, if you're enjoying this lesson and you think you're getting good value, please do hit the subscribe button. It's down there, isn't it? Because I would appreciate that. It's going to help me take this message to more people. The more subs you've got, the more reach you've got, and the more cool sax players like you I can help. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right, here's lick number 2. This is pretty much nicked from what Charlie Parker plays in the bridge of Coco. It's a really nice pattern. Here's what the notes are. I'll play that again. So the cool thing about this lick is the way that the rhythm is thrown, all right? It's the way that the rhythm is thrown about. Right. Here is the magic sauce now. Ready for the magic sauce? Bam. And remember, this is the bit that not very many people are teaching you. Some people are, but this is the really important stuff about the phrasing, which is going to bring this alive. I guess I should plug my course, shouldn't I, at this point? I've got a whole course called Phrase Like a Pro, which goes into all this stuff, which is going to transform your, flatland, ungrooving stuff into this kind of stuff. I teach you everything about tonguing, phrasing, articulation, the whole 9 yards, and a lot more besides. So let's break it down, as Mel would say. Here it is. There's a new little abbreviation here, AT, which means you tongue it, but with an accent, so you tongue it hard. And remember the half tonguing? So the F at the bottom, you half tongue. You pull your tongue off for the D. And you got to pull it off hard because this is an accented release tongue. All right? So I'm going to play the phrasing very slowly for you. A little bit quicker. Oops, sorry, I'm off that. So, remember that we need to put that into the other key as well, the key of F, to fit it into our example song. And, when you're looking at your standard, there'll be a bunch of 2-5-1s. Just to take the lick, it's only an exercise. It'll teach you phrasing, swing, and language. And it's all just using the major scale. So now we're using the F major scale, and we need to transpose the notes of that lick. And that would sound something like this, he said, scratching his head. Just about got it. That's not what you're seeing there. That's the same thing transposed, well, it'll be upper fourth. And remember, the way the rhythm is thrown around in this lick is super cool. So here it is in those two keys in the Lonely Shepherd song. Here's what it sounds like. Now, remember the last time, that little flex with the semitone going up and then down on the final 2-5-1? Here's how you can alter that lick. You could do something like... So, when you throw in that little alteration where you transpose the first little bit up a semitone, you know, pro level, sounds super cool. And by the way, for the record, even if the rhythm section are just playing a straight 2-5-1, you could still do that chromatic shift and make it sound really hip. All right, here's what it sounds like with that kind of bonus upper semitone thing. Here it is. All right, we've got one more cool lick to do, but here is a little plug for you. It's not even a plug because I'm not selling anything. Here's a free thing for you. It's my Saxophone Success Masterclass. There's a bunch of super cool stuff which is instantly going to help you become a better saxophonist, saxophonist even. And you can see the link there. The link is also in the description. Go and check it out. It's yours for free. You fill in your email. Robert is your father's brother. Let's go now to lick 3. The simple version of lick 3. Now this one I've taken a little cheeky quote and woven it into a bebop lick. The quote is Gershwin's Crazy Rhythm, and this is what it sounds like. Okay, so now we're playing a little bit of bebop over the 1 chord as well. We've got that cheeky little triplet in the middle. So, again, what makes this interesting is the rhythmic displacement. And then you've got the sort of the ripping triplet, which goes up to the major 7 arpeggio. That's a really bebop-y thing. Still using the notes of the major scale. Right, who's ready for some secret sauce to actually learn how to play this properly? 3, 2, 1. Da-da! Choir of angels. There's the phrasing that you need to make it sound awesome. So, let's break it down, break it down. Bit of a sticky bisky B flat there. Need to sort that out. Right, I'll play it again. Got it? A little bit quicker. Now that is how you make it sound swinging, okay? Not just playing it any old time. Right, so once again, for the final time, I would transpose that lick into upper fourth so that I can play it in the context of the chords. That would make it sound like this. Oh, really? I'm scratching my head now. Okay. Got it. So, here's what it sounds like on Never Be Another You. And remember, I'm just noodling around on the major scale in between those key 2-5-1 moments. Here it is. final time, let's do our sort of our ultra cool Pro Flex, where we transpose that first little section up a semitoned because of that chromatic 2/5. Right, here's what that sounds like. That didn't sound very grammatically correct. Here's what it sounds like in context. Okay, folks, that is what you call a chunky piece of free edutainment learning knowledge on how to improvise saxophone. Taking a major scale, playing some really cool bebop licks, learning the phrasing in detail so that you can actually sound swinging and grooving, because that's what's going to make you stand out from the crowd, and how you apply that in a standard. Now, are you going to play a standard and play that lick throughout the whole thing for your whole solo? No, but you're learning the language of how to talk bebop. Okay, imagine you went to a foreign country and the country is called Bebop and you can't speak bebop, nobody's going to understand you. Exactly the same if you go to your gig and you're playing jazz, people expect to hear the language bebop and you're talking, I don't know what, classical etude or you know, galloping, detached, rumpty-tumpty, whatever. That's not the language of bebop. And once you start learning how to speak it by learning licks like this, you'll find that you don't need complicated enclosures and a bunch of really hard stuff. You can use the good old major scale and you can sound really cool. Now, as always, there will be a bonus video inside the inner circle. The inner circle is where you get access to me. So if you like lessons like this, you want to be in the inner circle because that's how you get access to me. And you can improve your sax playing and, you know, hang out with a bunch of other really cool saxophonists doing the same as you. Alrighty. Like I said before, you got the free Saxophone Success Masterclass. That's all yours. And until next time, I'm pro saxophonist Jamie Anderson. You're watching Get Your Sax Together, the no guff channel where you're actually going to learn something and practice hard, practice smart, and enjoy your music. Take it easy.